feels great. Definitely, I grew up since then, so I feel good. I feel very, very happy and really, let's say, privileged that that I can be at this position, and that I can go from this position into the tournament. Everything was amazing. It was like a fairy tale. Very, very tough to say. I mean, winning the match point, looking at maybe winning the match.
The strange thing about tennis is that the future does not always arrive with loud headlines, flashing cameras, or dramatic celebrations. Sometimes it steps quietly onto a court, carries itself with calm confidence, and plays with the composure of someone who already belongs among the elite. Then, little by little, the players on the other side of the net begin to feel it too. That slow, undeniable realization settling into their minds. Something extraordinary is unfolding right in front of them.
First time I was playing third round against Maria in the local locker arena. I was so nervous, even I don't know, even I couldn't work on the floor. Yeah, even after finishing the match, back to the locker room, I was like, oh, match is finished. Yeah, but I think I really love her personality, and she's played well and also so young, and she got a lot of experience. So I believe she can do much, much better.
If Alex Eala's rise has you just as excited as the rest of us, make sure to subscribe and follow the journey as it unfolds. Long before the tennis world began seriously asking whether a young star from the Philippines could lead the next generation, one player had already experienced that possibility firsthand. It happened on the grass courts of Wimbledon, a place where the pressure feels heavier, the margins grow razor thin, and every match has a way of revealing both a player's greatness and their weaknesses at the exact same time.
You talk about this being a global sport. How about the Filipino fans? For Alex Eala has become an absolute phenomenon on the courts. This is an early Verizon vantage point.
Yeah, I think my experiences here and my matches here have really meant a lot for me. I think I've been able to bring out a certain level and dig really deep both times. In all circumstances, even tonight, I was able. It's a learning experience for me.
On one side of the court was a young Alex Eala, still rising through the rankings, still gaining experience, and still introducing herself to a tennis world that had not yet realized the magnitude of what it was witnessing. On the other side stood Barbora Krejčíková, a champion whose understanding of the game comes from surviving the sport's highest levels. Krejčíková had already faced the pressure of the biggest stages, lifted major titles, and spent enough time among the elite to recognize exactly what greatness looks like when it appears across the net.
I think her opponent is a very experienced player, and I think Alex definitely handled the center court very well. She had some resistance, especially in the second set. I thought the Thai player Naklo did a very good job battling and trying to compete back, but I think that's also what makes Alex great. She was able to not only respond very well, but close it out, which I think was very important for her.
And yet, during that match at the championships, Wimbledon, something unusual unfolded. It was not simply that Alex Eala played well, because young players can deliver strong performances without necessarily signaling the arrival of something greater. It was not just about a few spectacular shots or a handful of fearless rallies that briefly ignite the crowd. What stood out was something deeper, something even seasoned players immediately recognized. I would like to start by giving credit to Alex. The reaction began, and that alone revealed the tone of the moment. Because this was no ordinary performance from an emerging talent. There was a calmness in her game, a maturity in the way she handled pressure, and a confidence that did not look borrowed from youthful adrenaline. It looked real. It looked sustainable. The atmosphere shifted because people were no longer watching a promising junior trying to survive on a big stage. They were watching a player who already seemed to understand how to belong there.
I would like to start with giving the credit to Alex. I mean, what the hell she played in the first set. She was smashing the ball and she was cleaning the lines and all that. So, wow, it's a next generation coming. That she's gonna come up and she's gonna be really good in a couple of years. So, first of all, big credit to her.
What Barbora Krejčíková recognized that day was something far more difficult to explain. It was not just talent or athletic ability. She noticed a level of composure that almost never appears so early in a player's career. She saw instincts that cannot simply be coached into someone over time. There was a quiet confidence in the way Alex Eala carried herself, as though stepping onto one of tennis' most intimidating stages felt completely natural to her. That impression stayed with Krejčíková long after the match ended. As the years passed and Eala's name began surfacing more often in conversations about the future of the sport, that encounter at the championships, Wimbledon started to look very different in hindsight. What once seemed like a strong performance from a gifted young player began to feel more like the first glimpse of something much bigger. Her movement across the court looked effortless and precise, the kind of fluidity usually developed only through years of experience on those surfaces. Her shot selection reflected a maturity beyond her age, showing patience when necessary and courage when the moment demanded it. But above everything else, it was her mentality that stood out most. She showed the kind of resilience under pressure that often becomes the defining difference between talented players and the ones who eventually rise to the very top of the sport.
20-year-old Filipino tennis star Alex Eala has sent Melbourne Park crowds into an absolute frenzy. We'll go live to Ollie Haig, who's in Garden Square for us this evening. Ollie, she's about to get her second chance.
Yeah, certainly right, Tom. After last night's singles loss, she'll have another go tonight at getting through to the second round in the doubles. Now, Alex Eala, she's really been the talk of Melbourne Park today. She's just 20 years old, ranked 49 in the world. But the reason why there is just so much interest is because she's the highest-ranking Filipino in history.
What impressed Barbora Krejčíková most was Alex Eala's ability to stay calm in moments where many young players would normally feel overwhelmed. At the championships, Wimbledon, emotional control is tested constantly because every point feels heavier and every mistake seems amplified by the atmosphere surrounding the court. Yet Eala moved through those moments with striking composure. Even when rallies became tense and momentum swung unpredictably, she continued playing with clarity, discipline, and confidence. That is the kind of quality experienced champions notice immediately. It goes beyond talent or technique. It reflects a mindset that cannot easily be taught. Krejčíková later admitted that during stretches of the match, she began to sense where Eala's career could eventually lead if her growth continued at the same pace. It was one of those quiet realizations that sometimes happens in the middle of competition, when a player suddenly understands that the opponent standing across the net may soon become one of the sport's major forces. She has also spoken about how inspiring it is to watch someone so committed to improving every part of her game. Beyond the performances and the results, Eala carries the support and expectations of an entire nation that follows her journey closely. The Philippines has embraced her as one of its brightest sporting figures, and the excitement surrounding her rise continues to grow with every tournament she enters.
Amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where do these people come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So it's incredible.
That level of support can become both empowering and overwhelming for a young athlete. But Barbora Krejčíková believes Alex Eala possesses the personality and mindset needed to carry it well. She has noticed how Eala approaches competition with focus and determination, never allowing the growing attention around her rise to distract her from the work required on the court. According to Krejčíková, that kind of mental discipline is often what transforms talented prospects into true champions. Physical ability alone is never enough. Tennis history is filled with players who possessed extraordinary skill but struggled to handle the constant pressure and emotional demands of the professional tour. What separates the truly elite players from those who are simply gifted is the ability to remain grounded while the spotlight grows brighter and expectations become heavier. That was one of the qualities Krejčíková remembered most clearly from their encounter. She recalls how Eala continued battling for every point no matter what the scoreline looked like. Even in difficult stretches of the match, she never showed visible frustration, panic, or hesitation. Instead, she maintained the same calm intensity, the kind of emotional steadiness that experienced champions recognize immediately when they see it in a young player.
To support her as a group of people.
Are there actual like gatherings?
Oh yeah,
really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We plan our dinners around that stuff.
Really? You signed up for Tennis Channel to watch her?
Yeah, because sometimes they don't show it.
So the year subscription, just in case.
The monthly.
Oh, the monthly. Okay.
The monthly, just in case she doesn't play, then we don't. Right? You only pay when she plays. It's paid to play.
My friends will tell me that the courts are full at home and just so many things that I didn't think would.
As she reflected on the future of the sport, Barbora Krejčíková naturally included Alex Eala in her perspective on the next generation. She acknowledged that for established players, the rise of younger talent can sometimes feel bittersweet after years spent competing at the highest level. Watching new names emerge often brings a blend of admiration, nostalgia, and quiet reflection. In her case, however, the sentiment was largely positive. She spoke with clear enthusiasm about how players like Eala contribute to the continued evolution of women's tennis, ensuring the sport remains dynamic and full of fresh narratives. According to her, tennis thrives on this constant renewal, new personalities, new styles, and new rivalries that keep fans engaged. Eala, she suggested, embodies exactly that kind of energy. At the same time, Krejčíková emphasized that the path to the top of professional tennis is never straightforward. Every rising player goes through periods where results do not immediately reflect their potential, and those phases often test resilience far more than success ever does. Still, based on what she experienced at the championships, Wimbledon, and what she has observed since, she remains confident that Eala has the inner strength and mindset required to navigate those challenges and continue progressing toward the highest level of the game.